So every piece we've made so far is a designed to be laser cut, so it's a thin piece of material. Let's design a part that's going to be 3D printed. Probably a base piece is typically going to be a 3D print, that or end effectors. So I'm going to make a base. So I'm going to start a new part. Create Part Studio. I'm going to name this, and what's important here is I'm going to rename 3D round base. So I'm going to do 3 in round base. This 3D print tells us it's not to be laser cut. It's going to look a little different. And as always, once I'm done, I never fix that. It is really important that you keep these there, and I'll show you why. X7T. So I'm going to start a sketch, and this time I'm going to start it on the top surface. I'm going to draw a circle. I'm going to dimension this using the D button to go 3 inches. I'm going to extrude using Shift E. I'm going to extrude it 0.15. It's plastic, so it doesn't have to be big. And then I'm going to draw a hump that we're going to put a stake through. So I'm going to start a sketch on the right plane. And I'm going to draw a rectangle. And I'm going to go right view so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to center point rectangle. I'm going to like that. And I'm going to draw a 3-point arc on top to make it look pretty. So I know a couple things. I know I want these to be tangent, that's sort of like smooth. So this is smoothly hooked to that, and that's smoothly hooked to that. I'm going to have this whole thing be 0.5 inches tall. And I'm going to have it be 1 inch wide. Oop, maybe this should be. How about this would be 1.5 inches tall? And this should be 1. That looks more like it. And I'm going to now extrude this using the extrude button or hit Shift E. And I'm going to go symmetric. And I want to make this 0.75 inches apart. That looks good. And make it a little nicer, a little stronger. I'm going to add some fillets. That looks good. And I'm going to start a sketch on this on this side. I'm going to look at the left hand while I do that. I'm going to draw a circle, and this is going to be where my stake goes through. So I'm going to dimension this to 0.165. Again, this dimension might change, but once we have a good dimension for both laser cut and 3D print, I will set those, and we won't have to worry about it. In fact, when it's a little bigger, 0.175, because 3D prints are usually in a little more space. I'm going to hit Shift E to extrude. I'm going to remove and distance all. So now I have a base. Let's go to my assembly and make my assembly a little better. Oh, last thing I'm going to do to my base, actually, is I'm going to change his color. So go to the color wheel here. And I want to make it bright red so that I know, looking at it, that it is a 3D printed object, not a cardboard or laser cut object. I'm going to go to my assembly. I'm going to now place in, I'm going to insert a base. I'm going to check that. I'm going to unfix. And I'm going to make, oh, notice he's not named properly. Oh, we have 2 of these in here. All right. I'm going to delete part 2. I'm going to fix this guy. And notice he's not named properly. That's because when I made him, I'll double click over here, I didn't update this name to match. So easiest way to do it is right click, rename, copy, rename, paste. Now if I go back to my assembly, he actually has a good name now. And now I'm going to use the Revolve Insert to this point and this point. I'm going to hit the checkbox. And now it's okay that he's inside there. It's not the end of the world. I could edit and we could change its direction. That looks better. I could take now and move this up. So if I take and grab this guy, I now could see how that would do it. Now, this would be floppy. I would have to add a second extension somewhere so I can add a piston to this. So really, this is base isn't very good right now. So let's actually make him so he's a rigid base. So he has 2 connectors. So I'm going to go back to my 3D print. I'm going to go into my this sketch here, and I'm going to rectangular pattern. This hole going downwards. 2. This one is going to be 1 and do 0.5. That looks good. It's a little close together. I'm going to go to my second sketch. Let's make this whole thing taller. And there we go. I have a base with 2 hole connectors. I can now go to my assembly. And I'm going to delete this revolution constraint. I'm going to move this whole thing over. I'm now going to use the revolve constraint with the bottom one and the bottom hole here. I'm going to hit check. I'm then going to move this whole arm out of the way so I can see the other hole. I'm going to put another revolve mate on that spot and that spot. Check. Now, this can't move. There grabs on, just hit escape and drops you out of the thing. So this can move now. And now I can add, say, I'm going to put my 3x3 L onto this. I'm going to insert. I can go through my pieces. I'm going to go 3x3 L. I only need one of them. I'm now going to connect this guy up. I'm going to use a revolve mate in there and there. If they're inside of each other, I'm going to use the flip right there. Check. And now I can take and pull that like that. Now, this piece probably be too short for what I want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and let's replace that guy. I can right click. I can replace instance and I can select another part. And I'm going to go the 15x1 rectangle. I'm going to get rid of the, I don't want that guy, just that one. I'm going to hit check. And it's kind of okay, except it's off there. We're going to have to fix the revolution. We're going to delete this revolution. And then I can now constrain I can revolve mate this hole here. And this hole here. Didn't like that, so I'm going to delete that. Let's try that again. So I'm going to hit revolve this hole here and that hole there. Check. Now this guy can go here, and this whole thing can go up and down. So I can put a syringe between these 2 points, and that would let this push up and down. Maybe this has to get longer, I'm not sure. And I can put a syringe down here to this bottom to push this up and down that way. So now I can start seeing how this is in cover art. Obviously, I'd probably put 2 on each side and bind it together, but this helps me sort of plan out the general motion and how far things are. So we have a bunch of parts. We have assembly. The next video, or the last thing we should do is go and see about 3D printing this piece. So the way you want to 3D print something, I'm going to go find the 3D print item here. I'm going to right click on it, export, and I want an STL file. Its name is good. And then I'm going to hit OK. I can now open Prusa Slicer, and we can print that just like we'd print any other object. And we can double check that its orientation is right. So I'm going to go place. He's just right. And that would be an hour print for that piece. Versus the laser cut pieces would probably be like 10 minutes to less than 5 minutes to print to cut all those pieces out. So this is the robot arm project, and it kind of covers pretty much all of the different pieces to make. As we going, we'll have tons of different parts and pieces as you get going. You could have 3D printed parts with 2 connectors, so you could put a syringe directly on there. There's a lot of stuff we can do. You don't keep these kind of small because you don't want to take forever, but we should be able to make some fairly complex and neat robots.